Despite the success of the Tudor Black Bay over the past decade, one of the most constant requests among ardent collectors of Tudor watches was to one day see the return of the Submariner. With each passing year, the hope of seeing this as a reality became increasingly unlikely. However, recently, Tudor gave us about as close as we have gotten to a modern Tudor Submariner, except it is known as another familiar name, the Black Bay, at 41mm in a monochromatic colorway. When this Black Bay was first unveiled at Watches and Wonders 2024, it was met by two primary camps of opinion. One group let out a collective, "Finally, the day is here," while the other crowd was questioning why all the fuss, especially for a design that appeared to merely drop some color from the formula. To answer the second of these two questions, it is best to take a wider view. When the Tudor Black Bay family was released in 2012, it revitalized an at the time floundering Tudor compared to its current state. The premise behind it was clear: to recreate big crown Submariners in a modern package. The timing of this could not have been better, with the following decade being dominated with the vintage revival craze, ushering many firsts from the Black Bay during the period, including their own manufacturer movements, the 58, the 54, GMTs, and a variety of case material introductions. Across many of these models, the vintage flair persisted with riveted bracelets, gilt markings, and sizing options that align more closely with mid-20th century partiality. The constant look back to vintage Tudor divers was ultimately a large part of the success, yet it also created a fixation on what was missing: a modern take on the beloved Submariners. With much of the design code of the Black Bay coming from references such as the 7922 and 7924 of the 1950s and the eventual 9401 of the 1970s, the most contemporary dive watch from Tudor that best characterized a modern take on the Submariner came from a collection that has less of an intended focus of trying to emulate the model altogether with the Pelagos. With the release of this Black Bay 41mm in black, there is now a watch from Tudor that represents the Submariner more than any other watch they have created since the Sub's discontinuation a quarter century ago. And we're just scratching the surface when it comes to Tudor's Submariner history as well as Black Bay history. So if you want more information about how all this came to be, check out our article about it in the description down below. I would say it's one of the most comprehensive on the internet, if not the most comprehensive. Hands-on photography with many of the models and great backstory into the history of Tudor. Check it out in the description down below. The Black Bay 41mm burgundy from last year laid the foundation for what we have here from its wearability, design, movement, water resistance of 200 meters, and even the name, as despite being labeled as the Monochrome out of the gate, it seems very clear in Tudor's positioning that this is formally known as the Black Bay. Looking at the case diameter, 41mm is far from new for this collection, as the first Tudor Black Bay called on the same dimension. That said, from here, the rest of the approach is much different than the original sizing, with a lug-to-lug of 49.3mm and a thickness of 13.6mm. For years, the 41mm Black Bays always wore larger than their proposed diameters, with thickness reaching 15mm and a lug-to-lug extending to 50mm. If you've not done yourself the service of trying one of these new generation of 41mm Black Bays on and are assuming this is going to wear just like the former versions, please know that they wear it completely differently and might greatly alter your decision on what Black Bay might be best for your wrist size. Further, the watch's finishing has several points of interest that have elevated its presentation and, as a byproduct, peppered in some modern aesthetics. The most noticeable trait, in my opinion, is the redesigned crown with larger reflective grooves that are mirrored on the bezel edge, making them easier to grip in both instances. The hairline facet running the length of the case and lugs is also wider, breaking up the brushed top surface from its polished sides. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be speaking mostly to the bracelet option that I've had the most time with, which is this one that we have paired here, the 5-link. It features polished interior links and brushed outer links. That said, it is important to note that this watch is also available on a 3-link as well as on rubber, with the 5-link being the priciest of this trio. The links of the 5-link are oval in their side profile shape and will terminate at a fold-over locking clasp with ceramic pins to effectively take on any wear and tear that comes with putting on the watch and taking it off in the years to come. The clasp will have a polished center portion that will be much more susceptible to scratches than previous iterations, so keep that in mind. But shifting inside is Tudor's class-leading T-Fit system, which enables without tools on-the-fly adjustment that is greater than adding or removing a link, making sizing a breeze. Despite the design generally remaining similar to other Black Bays, there are some differences to call out. The bezel persists in its unidirectional 60-click rotation, has 15-minute countdown graduations, except this time is free of any pop of color apart from the black and white. The dial, similar to the Burgundy 41, is sun-brushed as opposed to the matte dial in many other Black Bays. Dial text is among the simplest of this collection, with 2-line text at 6 and the conventional brand layout at 12. The handset sees a mild adjustment, being one of the rare instances where Tudor opts for a circular indicator on that second hand instead of its conventional diamond. Finally, and most notably, there are no warm hits of color throughout the dial or bezel, with white and black serving up high contrast and a design that more directly emulates modern-day Submariners. As referenced by the 6 o'clock text, the watch is a master chronometer, serving up another reminder of this new era for Tudor. In my discussion with Cole Pennington of the brand last year, he was very clear, stating in due time the entire range from Tudor will be master chronometer certified, a feat that would certainly shake up the industry. If you're familiar with certifications in Swiss watchmaking, you probably know COSC and Metas. COSC has been the long-established name in certifying movements as Swiss chronometers, which involves brands sending in assembled movements to be tested in a variety of positions and undergo a variety of adverse effects to sustain an acceptable range of accuracy of -4 to +6 seconds a day. These tests are done at a cost to the brand, but since it is done by a third party, it gives an outside level of confidence and has been standard practice for many of Tudor's calibers over the years. The other testing organization, Metas, or the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, which in 2015 famously partnered with Omega to create a new standard of certification along the lines of what has been done for decades with COSC, but to be even more taxing. Metas certification requires a wide array of tests along 8 different primary areas of focus, including accuracy, temperature, magnetism, and more. Further, to qualify as a master chronometer, these tests are not merely done to the movement, but the watch fully cased up. The end result is a watch that will have a tighter range of accepted accuracy deviation of 0 to +5 seconds a day, a more resilient watch during temperature changes, shocks, and an elevated resistance to magnetic fields, with this piece offering up 15,000 Gauss of magnetic resistance. Looking beyond the Metas certification and the dependability it implies, the MT5602U works off the architecture of other Black Bay models since 2016, providing class-leading specifications and technical upgrades for the price point, including a 70-hour power reserve, 4 Hz with its beat frequency or 28,800 vibrations per hour, a silicon balance spring to alleviate the harmful effects of magnetism, while also allowing hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position. Despite being hidden from view, the oscillating weight is going to wind bidirectionally, is made of tungsten, which is about 2.5 times denser than stainless steel, leading to increased winding efficiency, with the rest of the caliber providing largely matte and industrial finishes. So the Tudor Submariner can be represented by 3 key points of history. One is the 1950s and 60s, marked by the big crown references like the 7922, 7924, and eventually the 7928 with its prominent crown guards. Number 2 was the 1970s, when elements such as the snowflake hand and the shield logo were established as common ideas, while also being the main era where the brand developed this legendary tie with the Marine Nationale, most notably with the reference 9401. Then you have the third and most forgotten era of Tudor Submariner designs from the 80s and 90s, with models such as the 75090 midsize, a watch that was the first Tudor dive watch that I purchased and still own today, and then the 79090. At the time that the Tudor Submariner was discontinued at the turn of the millennium, Tudor was out of many key markets, including the United States, metaphorically serving up as a temporary white flag of surrender with the hopes of coming back to fight another day. That day came a little over a decade later with the release of the Black Bay, and began to put to rest the idea that Tudor couldn't stand on its own without directly following the path of Rolex. Now, of course, Tudor is going to have some overlap in its design with Rolex. Tudor was developed with this intention at the beginning when Hans Wilsdorf first established the brand. Yet nowadays, I've always felt that the brand is navigating this in a way where they're trying to, of course, balance the past with this desired independence. The casualty of this pursuit, though, is that it forced the brand to somewhat separate from an important design in their history with the Submariners, as they got close but never hit that tune note for note, which is why there was excitement around this release, as it was the closest thing we've ever gotten to a faithful cover of a track that we all loved. In reality though, those asking what is all the fuss about are justified. Does the world really need another black and white dive watch that takes strong points of design inspiration from the Submariner? Absolutely not, and I could scream that in all caps. In fact, we probably could use a lot less of them, to be frank. The difference here is that Tudor is seen as a different animal, being one of 2 brands that can claim ownership over watchmaking's most legendary dive watch design. This gives the brand more than just a pass. It is a bright green light that has been beaming for decades with only subtle and calculated love being given to the accelerator. In a vacuum, this watch delivers on all the signs you would need to classify something as derivative. But with its up specification caliber and subtle design updates, it has delivered exactly on what many collectors of Tudor have been looking for. But alright guys, that is my take looking at this new Tudor Black Bay. I know this is going to be a watch that might be a bit polarizing for some because many will say, and perhaps rightfully so, what's the big deal? But on the other side, I think there's reasoning behind why so many people were excited about this. So what is your take about this new Tudor Black Bay? Leave some comments down below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Leave it all down there. Love to see it. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. Also check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. Guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.